Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Today we are reading from Canto 8, Chapter 19, verse 34. Gramatogam Pataikena.
Gramatogam Padaikena.
Gramatogam Pataikena.
Gramatogam Padaikena.
No, sometimes it's better without pauses. Dvitiyena divam vibhu.
Dvitiyena divam vibho.
Dvitiyena divam vibhu.
Dvitiyena divam vibho.
Kamcha kayena mahata.
Kamchakayena mahata.
Kamcha kayena mahata.
Kamchakayena mahata.
Tartiyasya kuto gati.
Tartiyasya kuto gati.
Tartiyasya kuto gati.
Tartiyasya kuto gati.
Gramatokam pataikena.
Gramatogam Padaikena.
Dvitiyena divam vibhu.
Dvitiyena divam vibho.
Kamcha kayena mahata.
Kamchakayena mahata.
Tartiyasya kuto gati.
Tartiyasya kuto gati. Gramatogam Padaikena.
Gramatokam pataikena.
Dvitiyena divam vibho.
Dvitiyena divam vibhu.
Kamchakayena mahata.
Kamchakayena mahata. Tartiyasya kuto gati.
Gramatogam Padaikena.
Gramatokam pataikena.
Dvitiyena divam vibho.
Dvitiyena divam vibhu.
Kamchakayena mahata.
Kamchakayena mahata.
Tartiyasya kuto gati.
Tartiyasya kuto gati.
Gramatogam Padaikena.
Gramatokam pataikena.
Dvitiyena divam vibho.
Dvitiyena divam vibhu.
Kamchakayena mahata.
Kamchakayena mahata.
Tartiyasya kuto gati.
Tartiyasya kuto gati. Thank you. Gramataha.
Gramata.
Gradually.
Gradually.
Gam.
Gram.
The surface of the land.
The surface of the land.
Padaekena.
Padaikena.
By one step.
By one step.
Dvitiyena.
Dvitiyena.
By the second step.
By second step.
Divam.
Divam.
The whole of outer space.
The whole of outer space.
Vibhu.
Vibhu.
Of the universal form.
Of the universal form.
Kamcha.
Kamcha.
The sky also.
The sky also.
Kayena.
Kayena.
By the expansion of his transcendental body.
By the expansion of his transcendental body.
Mahata.
Mahata.
By the universal form.
By the universal form.
Tartiyasya.
Tartiyasya.
As far as the third step is concerned.
As far as the first step is concerned.
Kutaha.
Kutaha.
Where is.
Where is.
Gatihi.
Gatihi.
To keep his step.
To keep his step.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vamanadev will first occupy the three worlds with one step. Then he will take his second step and occupy everything in outer space. And then he will expand his universal body to occupy everything. Where will you offer him the third step? Purport. Shukracharya wanted to tell Bali Maharaj how he would be cheated by Lord Vamana. You have promised 3 steps, he said, but with only 2 steps, all your possessions will be finished. How then will you give him a place for his third step? Shukracharya did not know how the Lord protects his devotee. The devotee must risk everything in his possession for the service of the Lord, but he is always protected and never defeated. By material calculations, Shukracharya thought that Bali Maharaj would under no circumstances be able to keep his promise to the Brahmachari, Lord Vamanadev. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitanshcha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pascharistarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we see here that Shukracharya is talking to Bali Maharaj and trying his best to get him not to promise the 3 steps of land, or he tried to. And because he was a Brahmana, I mean, he was a demon Brahmana, but Brahmana nonetheless, so he could understand Lord Vishnu's purpose. He could see that Vamanadev was Lord Vishnu, and he could understand he is going to take everything away from us. And then yesterday, then he said, yes, where's yesterday's verse? It's very similar today, the verse. You are a rascal, he called him. You do not know what a great mistake you have made. After giving everything to Lord Vishnu, you will have no means of livelihood. How then shall you live? So, and today he said, and he explained how, just 1 step, 2 step, and where is the third step going to be? Because number one, Shukracharya was worried about Bali Maharaj losing everything, and number two, he was also worried about what's going to happen if he cannot fulfill his promise. But Shukracharya, being materially motivated, he wasn't so worried about Bali Maharaj. He was more worried about him not getting his payment, him not being the brahmana of the very, very great King Bali. So you can see sometimes that very rich and very affluent people, very, very opulent, rich, famous, whatever opulences you have, you always have people around those other people who kind of attach themselves because of this second-hand glory that they get. And this is the case with Shukracharya. Um, and then, but it is, then today, Prabhupada says, yeah, okay, so a materialistic person always thinks in terms of what I have, what I can get, and what I will lose. Just this give and take of things. But then Prabhupada says he did not know how the Lord protects his devotee. The devotee must risk everything in the possession of the service of the Lord. So we ourselves can see some of ourselves in Shukracharya, because as Kali Yuga inhabitants, we've had many, 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 many lifetimes in which we did not perform devotional service. If we did, we might not be here, but we are here. So I don't know about you, but for me, this giving up this mentality of what am I going to lose when I surrender? Because Krishna asks surrender in the Bhagavad Gita also. So give up everything and follow me. But because we still have this very same materialistic viewpoint, we think about what am I going to lose? What is it going to look like when I completely surrender? And we have not yet, I say, maybe I should say I, because you are all very, very wonderful Vaishnavas, but it's the process of when we got into Krishna consciousness, especially because all of us, except that little one, have come to Krishna consciousness at a later stage. We were not born into Krishna consciousness. Our parents didn't chant, they didn't do the Garbhodama Samsara, so we have a lot of karma with us. And so this mentality of surrender, number one, is very difficult. And well, depending on from where you come, whether you were born, or whether you were raised as an atheist or somewhere in some kind of other tradition or religion, it takes a while to build up faith in Krishna, to know that, okay, yes, true, what he says is what he actually does. If he says he will protect me, he will protect me. And so that is, we can see from this story that the process, we can sort of see both ends of the journey. We see, number one, Shukracharya, the material, the material energy, not the energy, material mentality, and then later on we will see how Bali Maharaj reacts on it. Because he reacts in a great way. He says, on my head. So, so it's very important to see this, or to reflect about how far we are on this journey, about to give up this material mentality of either I don't want to lose anything, or what am I going to get in return? Because a devotee's greatest qualities is the quality of charity and surrender. And charity sometimes means that, not sometimes, but charity means that you give and you don't always expect something in return. My Indradyumna Maharaj was once sitting on an airplane next to a very old couple, like really, really old. And he asked them, he asked them, so what are you doing? He just chatted with them. And they said, yeah, we are celebrating our, I don't know what it was, something crazy like 60th wedding anniversary. So they have been together for decades and decades. It's like, wow, 60 years. How did you make it work? And the man, he said, and my Guru Maharaj is in his 70s, and at that time he was already in his 60s or whatever. He was not a young man. And this older gentleman said, son, you have to give more than you get, more than you take. So that's the principle by which we try to live. And not just because we I mean, it doesn't mean that we are a doormat for people to walk over, but it just means that as devotees, another thing that Indradimna Maharaj says is that we are not better than everybody else. This idea of the karmis and the devotees, not a good mentality. We are not better because we chant Hare Krishna. We are more fortunate. We just got a lot of mercy, and it is our duty to spread that mercy. And that is what it means, that, and it is quite difficult. Anybody who has anything to do with preaching, um, or any kind of outreach program knows that you you have to give a lot. Prabhupada says it takes a lot of liters of blood to make one devotee. And I know from my experience in South Africa, where we had our student outreach program, it may look like fantastic. These students will come and they would just look like they were born waiting for this, and they are very enthusiastic, and it keeps a few months, and then poof, they go, they disappear, or they start realizing how much their lives will have to change. And then they think, oh, no, 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 I'm comfortable where I am, and I'll just stay there. So it is a very, yeah, it's a long process. But Prabhupada says again, Shukracharya did not know that Krishna always protects his devotee. And again, if we look at what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in his Shikshastikam, even under difficult circumstances, we have to have faith that Krishna will protect us. And not even that, we just have to get to the point that says, whatever happens, egal, you are my Lord, and I serve you. Even if you push me, even if you treat me roughly, or even if you try your embraces.
Even if you trample me.
Yeah, trample me, I will still serve you. Because we know that it is not on a material level. Yes, obviously Krishna can protect us materially, but mostly it's on a spiritual level. There's this. It should be a devotee book, but I'm currently reading this book for maybe the third time. It's a story about a girl that wants to become a soldier. I'm not pro female soldiers, but anyway, the story is awesome. And she starts out by being a mercenary soldier. She joins this company. She's a mercenary soldier, meaning they fight for money. Whatever contract they sign, they fight for that person and they get the money. But then it's a series of 3 books, and over the 3 books, she develops from a mercenary soldier into a soldier that fights against evil. Because at the end of the first book, her company is taken hostage. Some of them are killed, and the second book is about finding this person, this very, very evil person, that that did this. So now it's not just about money; it's about good versus evil. So it's again a step up. And then she has some magical qualities because it's sort of a magical book with dwarfs and elves and whatever. But she has later on she becomes a paladin, and a paladin is someone who receives gifts from God and then uses it to fight. So paladin usually fights. He basically is a missionary. He goes wherever God sends him, and she becomes one. And at the end, so one at one stage of the book, she's kidnapped by another set of evil people, and she fights. They force her to fight, but because she has to use a lot of anger and a lot of grit to get through this, that anger that she has in her is kind of, they use that as a way in, and they poison her with their evil. So at the end of the book, she again gets taken hostage by the arch enemy, and but she does it because she says, okay, there were some of her people that were taken by this enemy, and she says, okay, you can take me and you can set them free. So she trades herself for this, and in the end she just doesn't do anything. She doesn't resist. They torture her like anything, but in the end she says, um, God has not failed me. He has kept me upright, or He has kept me strong. So, and then in that moment where she completely surrenders, and she basically, it's the last verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita, where she says, I've been tortured, I've been done all these horrible things too, but I am still God's servant, and He has kept me safe. Obviously, not on a material level because she's finished, she's broken. But, and then the magic happens where, anyway, wonderful story. I was recommended, it was recommended to me by another very great devotee of our movement, so it's bona fide. Um, but the point is that Krishna doesn't always protect us materially, but spiritually, if we stay true to Him, we are always victorious. It may look from the outside world that we sometimes lose, but if we keep to our morals, the morals that Krishna gave us, even though it looks like from the outside that we lose, we don't lose because we gain something spiritual, we gain something eternal. And that's something that we have to learn, to put our faith not in the material opulences but in the spiritual opulences. And that is the story of Bali Maharaj and Shukracharya, that he yeah, it's that shift from a material mentality to a devotional mentality, and that is what we need to do, and to realize that Krishna does protect us, and He does protect our soul, maybe not our body, but in the end, Bali Maharaj, I don't know if this made him one of the Mahajans, but Bali Maharaj is one of the Mahajans. He possesses spiritual knowledge, one of the 12 Mahajans. So it's quite a high level. So he didn't lose. He may not have had the kingdom anymore, but he gained something far better than that. All right. Yeah, and also Shukracharya thought that Bali Maharaj would under no circumstances be able to keep his promise to the Brahmachari, Lord Vamanadev. So that's another thing. Is I read in a book by Vasheshika Prabhu, Our Family Business. Do you know that book? in that book, he says that when a devotee, I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember the quote exactly, but he says, when a devotee makes a commitment to do something, really truly commit, then Krishna arranges things so that that devotee can fulfill that commitment. So in this case, we can see that materially, if someone takes the whole universe and the whole of outer space in 2 steps, it's a logical question, where is he going to put his third step? But Krishna arranged it, and he gave, because the idea of Bali Maharaj later to put his head, to say, put your last step on my head, that inspiration also comes from Krishna. So whenever we commit to something for Krishna, we can be absolutely sure that he's going to help us. I mean, maybe we commit to something that isn't part of Krishna's plan. Maybe sometimes it can also happen, but Krishna is always in control. And um, that's why having a spiritual master is so important, because the spiritual master is sort of like the North Star. If you think of a ship on an ocean, I mean, I'm directionally extremely challenged. I can get lost even with with a GPS. But in spiritual life, your spiritual master is like your GPS on an ocean that has no left or right. You have to follow the stars. So if you keep to your spiritual master's instructions, life may come. The ship may be thrown around by waves and whatever, and you may go sort of off course and whatever. But if you just keep your eyes on that North Star, you sort of have a general direction in which you can move. So also, this story teaches us how important it is to have a bona fide spiritual master. And because this spiritual master maybe did not give the best advice. But Prabhupada says it's one of the first steps that we have to do is find someone that can guide you. Um, but because Bali Maharaj was very devotional in a way, I mean, he's the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, Krishna still protected him. So we can see that if we commit to Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada, whatever happens to your spiritual master, either they leave their bodies or either they themselves have problems. We have examples of that in our movement. But Srila Prabhupada is always there. Shri Radha Madan Ki Jai. So Srila Prabhupada is always our first connection, and he's always there, and he never leaves. So um, that would be my summary for today. Number one, Shukracharya shows us the material mentality of just looking at what they're going to lose and not, and he's more afraid of what he's going to lose because he's then also losing his own standing in the community. Number two, the shift that we have to make from our own material perspective and just surrendering process of knowing that what I have is not by far as good as what Krishna could give me, but also not having that mentality of I want more than I have right now, but just knowing that you're not getting shortchanged, you're not getting cheated by Krishna. It's always better. And then the last point is how important it is to have a spiritual master that can lead you in the right way, because many of us, it is the propensity of the soul to want a master because we are servants. So we look for masters, and we can see in the material world how wrong it goes if we find the wrong masters. And I'm just talking about material. There's always someone that you take advice from. So that is why having a spiritual master is so important. And if you have not yet found your spiritual master in this life, then Srila Prabhupada is the spiritual master. And until then, until that step in between comes in, we can stay at his lotus feet and everything will be all right. So that is what I wanted to say today. Is there any comments, thoughts, ideas? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. Wonderful. I like very much this analogy with the North Star when you are in the ocean and you don't know right, left. I was reflecting on this point of that Krishna is always going to protect his devotees, and I think we all have heard that many, many times, and I think we all believe to some extent in it. And I think also if we look in the past, we can see so many times actually God was there to help us, but still it's so often not easy to make the step and to have this full trust. Very often we are still very much trying to fix it all ourselves. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on how to be more able to let go and to depend more. Is it just like a matter of as more pure we are, as more we can do it, or is there something we could do now to help us to enter more into this mode of surrender and trust? Yeah.
What you said in the beginning was that if you look back, you can see. It's hindsight is always 20/20 vision. It's always better to look back and see, okay, that this is what happened. And I think that should be a regular practice, because if we look back, if we reflect on our lives and how Krishna has helped us, then if he did it in the past, it becomes easier to believe that he will do it in the future as well. And also just in the moment, if I mean, it's a mundane example, but the other day, Gojum and I had to go to a place in Birkenfeld, and parking is a nightmare. You never get parking there. And it was late and parking. And Gojum kind of freaks out when he hears me ask Krishna for parking. He says, "You can't ask Krishna for parking." And I said, "Who else am I going to ask?" Anyway, so on the way there, and it was kind of late, and it was a really important appointment, and we couldn't be late. And I just knew that, okay, now there has to be parking right in front. And also, I came from home, and Godrum came from the building site, so we were looking for 2 parking places. And I said, "Krishna, I know this is really mundane, but 2, just 2." And I found parking, and then Godrum came, and just there next to him was another parking. And I thought, cool. And I later on, it was like a light went off in my brain. He's like, that I realized I think it was Super Soul that told me, "Hello, I gave you 2 parking spots." And I realized that I hadn't even said thank you at that moment. I was just thinking, Jai, we're going to be on time. But he gave 2 parking spots in a very full parking place. And then I realized that I said, "Krishna, I'm so sorry. You very obviously fulfilled my very small desire. It's a very stupid thing to ask, but you did it anyway, and I didn't even say thank you." So those are the 2 things, I think. Number 1 is we have to make time in our lives to just reflect on the things that Krishna has already done for us, because that's the evidence that we have, the unrefutable evidence that Krishna takes care of us. And then also in the moment, saying thank you for whatever it is that he does for us, and not to forget, not to think, "Oh, this is good luck." No, it's Krishna. I heard somewhere, I haven't tried it yet, but I heard also there was, I think, not I heard, one of my ministers back home when I was still going to church, they talked about having a prayer jar, like a just a glass jar, and you write your prayers onto it, and then you just put it in the jar, and then in a few months tip it out and go through all the prayers and see how many Krishna, I mean God in that case, how many got answered. So that's the kind of reflection that I'm talking about, and then being grateful in the moment also, because sometimes, I mean, Krishna is not mean. He's not mean. He's not going to not help us if we don't say thank you. But it's being aware in the moment what Krishna does for us also gives an immense, or that's my experience, is when I'm aware of what Krishna does, then I say thank you. Sometimes I forget, but then I say thank you later when I remember. But yeah, so yeah, those are the two things that I would say would can help is, and also write it down. Just have a journal of. That's why, I mean, it's you can have an app, you can have a journal, but just that's where the gratitude journal comes in. Just make a physical copy of it that you can, because we forget. I don't know. I mean, I forget two. I think about one thing and 2 steps later it's out of my mind. But if I write it down, then I have a hard copy of something. Uh, I have hard evidence, and take I can just think about it again. So that's what. Anything else? Hmm? Thank you very much for this lecture, Kamasita. You mentioned this story with the old couple, that you have to give more than you take. For me, is that I always think I take always more as a relationship with Krishna, because I need so much support, also everyday guidance, all his arrangements, and then I think this is only okay. I do also the sadhana or some service or some at home, but I actually that I take much more than I give. Yeah, but in relationship to Krishna, that will always be the case. We will never be able to give more than Krishna can give, because we're limited. We're in this body, we're limited. So I think the point there is, number one, again, it comes back to being grateful. If Krishna arranges something for you, just say thank you. That's kind of the two words that parents teach their children first is please and thank you. So just say thank you and be aware that it's not through your own, because sometimes we think, oh, I had such a great idea about something. No, that idea came from Super Soul. So it comes from Krishna. And then do your best. I mean, our capacities, every person's capacity of giving and what they can give, when they can give, is different, and it differs from day to day. But also know, and that's where integrity comes in, because we know when we are being a little lazy. It's Prabhupada says, I'm not interested in the money that you give me. I'm interested in the hand in the back, what you're keeping back. We know a lot of the times that, oh, I could have done this better, but I'm so kind pok. But so do your best, but also know that your best can also grow. It's not a static thing. Sometimes if you're really having a bad day, I mean, if you have some health issues, your best is not going to be the same as when you are healthy. So, uh, yeah, I don't know. Gurari Prabhu, what would you say to that question?
Yeah, I think it's you also hold that we cannot compare our relationship with the Lord with the relationship with we cannot give more Krishna, that what he is giving to us. And in one sense, I feel it's beautiful because we always remain dependent or remain indebted. And
Indebted, yes.
I remember once a devotee was giving me something, and I immediately felt I have to give him something back to neutralize. He gave me, so I have to give. And the devotee was telling me, actually, don't give back. It's always good that you feel indebted towards Vaishnava, and then you have always like the proper attitude towards the Vaishnava. You are humble, and you feel like you want to give. And you just thought that come, but I think we can. It's clear we cannot. Even though it's a loving competition between Krishna and his devotees, they try to serve each other, and I think there was even was there in one of the commentary that Krishna is sometimes want to reciprocate to the devotee, but the devotee they are so nonchalant, or they just don't want anything from him, that the Lord is not able to serve them. So when you see another Vaishnava serving them, you say, oh, good, good. You just it comes like
Yeah, it's another example that I had where, don't ask me why, but um, if someone does something really nice for you, then it's not only about the feeling that I want to give back, but you can also pay, not because in English you say you pay it back, but you can also pay it forward, meaning that it was an interview with someone, a movie star. Don't know why I watched that, but she said that her co-star, she was auditioning for a very big role, and she was really junior, but so this was her big break. And then the co-star, they went for an audition together, and the young one had something blue on, and the older one said, oh, you know what? And were auditioning for playing sisters. So the older, the very established actress said, you know what, I also have a blue t-shirt, let me take off my top, and then we look like sisters. And it was a small thing, but this younger actress said, oh, I'm going to do that for someone one day. So whatever you get from Krishna, to spiritualize this, whatever you get from Krishna, it we have you can give it to someone else. So, and Krishna says, the person who says he's my devotee is not my devotee, but the person who says he's the devotee of my devotee, he is my devotee. So when you think, oh, I'm taking from Krishna, just think about, and that you already do, so that you don't have to worry about, is just giving to someone else. Try and serve the devotees. Krishna will be very happy with you. So it's not just paying back the Vaishnava that did something for you, or paying back to Krishna, but spreading it around. I think this is the last thing that I'm going to see. There's a movie that I watched a long time ago called Pay It Forward. It's about a small boy who had a social studies, it's a subject, social studies class, and the teacher said, if you could change the world, what would you do? So the 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 task was come up with an idea that would change the world. And then this little boy came up with the idea that you help 3 people with, and it can't be small things. You have to really help them, like with a big thing. And instead of them then paying you back, you tell them you do 3 things for 3 other people. So instead of just you give me something, I give you back equal, don't give me back, give it to 3 other people. So he had this pyramid scheme of how the whole world will just change because people are doing good things for one another. And obviously, because it's a movie, he helped 3 people, and 2 of them didn't pan out. He helped them, but they didn't do it. But this one person was a homeless man that he took him home. He gave him a shower. He let him sleep in the garage, and he gave him food. And then this homeless person helped a woman that wanted to commit suicide. He's like, just come and have coffee with me. I would love to just talk to you. So he got her off the bridge. And then later on, in the beginning of the movie starts with a man who is stranded in the heavy rain, and his car won't start and whatever. And there comes a man with a Maserati or some kind of crazy car, and the man just gives him the key, and he says, "Yeah, you take my car." And it was a journalist, and he's like, "This is crazy. What do you mean, take my car?" He's like, "Here, take my car." And then this journalist kind of tracked down this boy, and that's how the story, then that's how. But anyway, so that's a good principle, is to know that Krishna gives me way more than I can hold in my hands. So I have to give it back. I have to spread it around. So we can see that we are just channels for Krishna, to because Krishna's mercy, we are the carriers of Krishna's mercy. So Krishna, there's maybe some person who's asking for help to Krishna, and Krishna chooses us as the vehicle for that help. So, and then that pleases Krishna immensely, is if we really help other people and not just thinking about, oh, I can't give back, I can't give back. No, you can't give back because it's Krishna. He's unlimited, but you can give forward. So yeah, that's what I would say. Okay, I think that's it. No more. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Vanshakapatarubhyascha Kripasindhu. Thank you for your attention and participation.